So today we're going to do a classic Matt rant. We haven't done one of these in a while. I have some things to bitch about, and I have a captive audience. So the purpose of today's video, or the topic of today's video rather, is reaction videos to people switching to Linux. So there is something that is undeniably true. More and more people are switching to Linux. And a lot of that is spurred by the Steam Deck, but also there's just been a lot of high-profile influencers and not so high-profile influencers who have made videos about them switching to Linux. Some of them have been successful, some of them have not been successful. It really just depends, right? But every single time that this happens, a lot of Linux YouTubers, including this one, I'm not immune to this, they make a reaction video to this. Now, I've seen dozens of these things. Like, this happens, barely a day goes by where I don't see one of my YouTuber friends make a reaction video to someone else switching to Linux. Now, I have mostly negative thoughts about reaction videos. I don't care for them. I think that they are mostly pointless, but in particular, these videos really bug me. Now, first off, let's get the hypocrisy out of the way. We just did a whole podcast basically talking about PewDiePie switching to Linux. Now, I don't think that qualifies as a reaction video. His video didn't actually appear in our podcast at all, but there's still some hypocrisy there, so I'm not immune to this whole phenomenon, but I still have a negative opinion about it, and I want to share it. So, why is this bad? First off, we need to normalize switching to Linux. I don't want people to stop making videos about them switching to Linux. I think that that's a good thing. I think that that spurs more people using Linux. I think that's fantastic. But the reaction videos, I think, do more harm than good for multiple reasons. One, it makes it seem like such a grand task to switch to Linux. And if you make it seem like a grand task, fewer people are actually going to do it simply because they're going to assume that it requires grand effort. So people only react to something that is extraordinary, usually. You only make a reaction video to something that is extraordinary or something that is unusual. You don't create a reaction video to someone just doing something normal. So by reacting to someone installing and trying Linux, you're making it unusual. You're making it abnormal. You're making it something grander than it needs to be. And that failure to make it normal makes other people see it as not normal. So I think that that's like the biggest thing that I have against this, is that it just makes it feel like something that it's not, and it makes it feel harder than it is. So I think that that's one of the reasons why it has to stop. Another reason why is that it's just so judgy. So if you've ever watched this, I mean, literally a reaction video's purpose is to be judgmental over the person you're reacting to. Like, you are watching for things that you can react to, and usually those things are things that you disagree with, things that the person did wrong, things that just kind of stand out in a negative fashion, and sometimes a positive fashion too, but you're judging them. That's basically what a reaction video is. And it doesn't come across as nice. It doesn't come across as inclusive. And if you're judging someone installing Linux, is that something that we all do? Is that someone on the outside looking at that might think that when they install Linux, they'll also be judged on everything that they do wrong? Is the Linux community so judgmental about every little flaw in their process that they're going to feel subconscious and eventually have to go back to Windows because of all the negativity surrounding, doing something wrong? Now, maybe people don't feel like that, but every time I see someone watch someone else switch to Linux, all they do is point out, well, why didn't you do it this way? Why didn't you do it that way? Oh, you did that wrong. Of course they did things wrong. They're noobs, okay? Of course they did. And the problem with the whole reaction video is that, there's nothing constructive about it. Sometimes there is. Some people do an okay job where this is how you're supposed to do it. But even then, telling someone how to do something after the fact is only moderately helpful to people who come after, not the person who you're trying to help. And, that's okay, but still, the lack of constructive criticism and actual help, I think, turns a lot of people off. And it just really, really bugs me because it just is so judgy. And I hate judgmental people, even though I can be judgmental on my own. I recognize the hypocrisy there, but it bugs me. So there's that. The last thing that I really don't like about these things is that they just come across as name bait. Now, like I said, I'm not immune to this. For absolute sure, we did a podcast on PewDiePie because his name is PewDiePie, and I could put that in the title. PewDiePie's name draws clicks and views, and that got that podcast attention. I did that because I'm a YouTuber. So I 100% understand the rationale behind reacting to PewDiePie and other large YouTubers who switch to Linux, because you can put their name and their face on your thumbnail and your title, and that draws in people who are interested in those people but may not be interested in Linux. That draws in a new audience and more clicks and more views, more money, all that stuff. I understand it, but it also feels icky. Anytime I do it, it feels icky. Anytime I see anyone else do it, it feels icky. Now, I'm of the opinion that clickbait is just normal on YouTube, so I fully support the use of catchy titles. Now, sometimes it's blatantly like using a title that has nothing to do with the video. That's obviously wrong. But if you're coming up with something that just draws people in, that's just what you're supposed to do on YouTube. But the whole using someone else's name and image on it, which is something you're able to do when you do a reaction video, just feels icky to me. And I can't describe it further than that. But we can all tell that the reason why we do those reaction videos, at least for like the big ones, at least one of the reasons why, is because we can draw in a larger audience because of the use of someone else's name and image and all that stuff. So you're doing it for the clicks. And this is, like I said, I'm right there with you. I do things for clicks all the time. But it still feels icky when I see other people do it and when I see myself do it. And I want to stop. So that's the reason why I don't do it very often, and when I do it, it's for the biggest freaking YouTuber in the world. You can't, that's like catnip to a cat. You can't not do it. You have to do it. So I understand it, but it's still icky. So that's my little bitty rant for the day. I don't have much more on this, and I'm not saying any of this stuff expecting anything to change, because it's just kind of the nature of YouTube. But it just does feel like these kind of do more harm than good, or at least they're not doing the good that they could do. So if you do plan on doing one, maybe provide some constructive criticism. Maybe when you're pointing out the YouTuber doing something wrong, point out how to fix the problem. Sometimes that alone at least can provide some value to whoever watches it, and they can learn from it. Beyond just you did something wrong, that's horrible, and then move on to the next thing, which is what a lot of these YouTubers are doing. So that's it for me today. If you have thoughts on this, you can leave those in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. You can follow me on Mastodon. That link will be in the video description. You can support me on Patreon at patreon.com/thelinuxcast. There you'll find a weekly exclusive podcast that I do for all of my patrons. Basically, it's just me sitting in front of this microphone for about 15 minutes or so, rambling about random stuff. And sometimes it's Linux related, sometimes it's not. It really depends on what's in my mind and what spews out in front of the microphone. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, support me on Patreon, on Patreon or on YouTube. That goes up in both places. You can check it out no matter what tier you're subscribed to. So there's that. If you want to get something physical in return for your support, you can head on over to the shop, which is available at shop.thelinuxcast.org. There you'll find all sorts of awesome merchandise, including this hat. It's a nerd hat. You can't be a nerd without a nerd hat. Those are the rules. I didn't make them. I need to get a new script for that. It's getting a little stale. But anyways, check that out. Shop.thelinuxcast.org. Thanks everybody who does support me on Patreon and YouTube. You guys are all absolutely amazing. Without you, the channel just would not be anywhere near where it is right now. So thank you so very, very much for your support. I truly do appreciate it. And if you've supported me in the past, even if your name is no longer up here on the list because you've had to move on for whatever reason, I thank you as well. Everybody who supported me throughout these years have just been amazingly appreciative towards you guys. So I'm just so very thankful for all your support. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day.